Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, Where the Crawdads Sing, I think is what it says. When I first read the synopsis of this movie, I thought it's like a girl who lives in the marshes. But it's in the marshes of the Deep South. So she lives in the Deep South and she was dating some guy and she ends up being accused of murder. I don't know. But it's a lot better after I read it the second time and realized she didn't really grow up in the marshes. It's in the marshes of the Deep South, so I get that now. So 2 hours and 5 minutes long. It's 7.1 on IMDb. 27,000 people have rated it so far. So kind of high expectations here. There's a couple of people I recognize, probably can't pronounce their names. So it's not like anybody like that I can pronounce. But, but I'm excited. So let's see what it's all about. Let's get into it, and I'll tell you what I think. So stick around. I'll be back. Hey everybody, I want to do a quick check-in. We're watching Where the Crawdads Sing. We're at the 1 hour, 4 minute, and 1 second mark. So 2 hours and 5 minutes long. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So we're just about halfway or a little over halfway. Whatever. Anyway, so our movie is about this girl who lives in the marsh in the Deep South. So in probably South Carolina. I say Carolina, so I'm assuming South. Could be North. Whatever. But there's a house out there that her and her family lived in, but she had an abusive father, and everybody just leaves, except for her. And then he eventually, I think he dies or whatever. He's no longer in the picture. I didn't catch that. It just happened in an instant. She lives on her own. She raises herself. She goes to school for one day, that's it. But she really has kind of, since a little kid has raised herself out there. Now, what had happened in the beginning, somebody ends up dead, and they blame it on the marsh girl, right? So they blame it on her, and right now she's in jail going to trial. That all happens right in the beginning, no surprise there. But it's all flashbacks onto what led to all of this. So we started off with a little bit of a love story, and pretty much that's the backstory so far, which is interesting. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, she's still kind of fending for herself, and they're moving into a kind of a different piece here about the house, who owns the house kind of stuff. Really, the whole first hour is dedicated to a love story. And you think, well, maybe that's what's going to happen, but so far, not so much. Not much else to tell. So it's intriguing, but I don't know. It's kind of like not a lot to tell you. That's it. I told you everything. So let's get back to it. Let's stop wasting your time, and I'll check back in and let you know what goes on. Stick around. I'll be back. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Where the Crawdads Sing, and I have to say, it's worth the 2 hours that you put into it. At first, like I said, they start off hot, you know what I mean, like with the arrest and she's in jail, and then they go into this backstory. It's all like The Notebook, it felt like to me, really. And it really went through all that, but it's all for the development of the story. And I kept thinking about this poor girl, the marsh girl, right? Kaya is her name. Cool name. But like, you feel like nothing goes right for the poor girl, right? And as I mentioned, her entire family leaves her when she's like 10 years old, and she's left to fend for herself for the rest of her life. Going to school for one day. You know what I mean? Like, now this is 1953 when she was like 10 or something like that. So it's through the 50s and in 60s, late 60s, maybe hits the 70s at some point now. So on and so forth. But still, I mean, like, fending for herself from 10 years old on up to continue to live. She becomes a young adult. Falls in love, as people do. Not everything goes right for Miss Kaya in her entire life, and of course the beginning of all this is she's accused of murder. Come to the end, so it's like, whew, so just watching all that, it does, you have to think about it. It doesn't seem as bad as I'm saying throughout the entire movie. It's not like one of those movies where everything bad keeps happening, but when you add it all up at the end of what she's going on, it's like, whew, get a girl, get a break. Anyway, so it's all really looking back at, what has transpired over these years to lead her into this trial for murder. And you know, they leave it out there. The idea is, and not a spoiler, you don't know. You know, I mean, it's not like something they tell you in the beginning, like this is how it happens and let's see. No, we have no idea what has happened. Well, we just know that she's on trial for it. We know that somebody's dead and they're accusing her of murder and she's on trial for it. And then they just give you the whole backstory. And the whole backstory, you know, gives clues and stuff like that, but there's, you know, no definitive, hey, here's exactly what happens. You know what I mean? So it's you know, you're kind of a lot of intrigue, if you will, to see what goes down. So I thought it was really good, especially, and I think like the ending really, I think makes it even better. As most movies, the ending is usually part of the best. But I don't know. I liked it. I don't know what else to say because, again, I don't want to go into it, but, you know, it's a story about, you know, persevering, overcoming stereotypes and economic or people who are rich, poor, you know, society. I can't think right now, but, you know, class. There you go. Economic class, if you will. So that's all rolled into this. That takes place in the 50s, 60s. So, oh, and nature. The other thing is you come to find out a little bit of a spoiler, but she's like brilliant. Like she knows nature and she can draw and she has a really good talent. You know, that's, you know, interesting for a girl who grew up on her own. But anyway, that's it. I don't want to say any more because it's definitely worth a watch. I thought she did a great job. Sorry I didn't get her name. And that's really all you need. Is everything else, everybody else is ancillary to what's going on. It's really about her. She plays a role really well. This girl, I wish I would have saw her name, but you know, like great job. There you go. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like she's got that innocent, naive personality or appearance to her. That is perfect for what transpires in this movie. There you go. I don't want to say any more. Check it out. Definitely worth the watch. Stick it out. Don't worry about watching The Notebook for, you know, about an hour there. It's going to be worth it. So, alright, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to point at you 8 more times. Kimmel's Irish Pub.